Hey guys, I'm going to show you the top 5 router settings for the security that are absolutely mandatory for you to enable on your router. And if you're still asking like, why is that so important? It's fairly simple because your router, doesn't matter if it has Wi-Fi or not, is a straight gateway to all your internet connected devices, maybe TV, computers, laptops, some network attached storage or everything else. And which means that if someone gets to compromise the connection to your router, they also have the direct access to all of the devices that are connected in the network, which obviously is super unsecure, and your main goal and task is to make sure that it is close to impossible for everyone. And for the first, the most obvious thing, I would say it is super important to change the default address of your router. And there are multiple ways how you might got one, like whether you purchased your router on Amazon or some store, or perhaps that's the case when the ISP came to your house, installed everything and put some box on a shelf and told like, this is going to be your main router. You are responsible to secure it. And normally, in most cases, I would say all of the routers also have some IP address to which you can connect to the main control panel of the router. And I can show you here, like in my case, I have a TP-Link AX5485400. And when you log in to the router itself, it asks for the password. So in case if you have a default one, then it's probably going to be something like admin or maybe like admin without a password at all. So it's definitely the first thing to do is to change it. And I would say there are two options. The most common one is like whenever you are setting up the router, it's most likely going to prompt you to set up a new password. But if you miss that, then don't forget to log into your router, and I will show you mine. I'm hopefully not going to show any sensitive information for myself, but doesn't matter like which router you have, which vendor, they might have like, they will have different view on how the things look like, but the main logic and terminology will remain the same. So in my case, if I would need to go to the system and administration, and here I will find like I need to input the old password and provide a new password, and make sure that the new password is secure. Try to use like at least 12 symbols, letters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, just to make sure that nobody can actually brute force your network. Next thing is making sure that your Wi-Fi is secure, because let's be realistic. Most of us are using our computer, especially when we're talking about some laptops, phones, computers, consoles, anything through the Wi-Fi. So I don't think we might be talking about a case when the Wi-Fi is not enabled at the home at all. So if you have Wi-Fi, it is super important to choose the proper encryption settings. And for proper encryption, the actual place where you do the configuration is, again, it might depend from the router vendor you are running, but as example here in my case, there is a specific wireless tab where you can find the wireless settings, and here is the security, like WPA2 PSKey AES encryption is good, but not best. And I would say that you need to choose between these two, like either WPA2 or WPA3. PA3 is obviously better because it also offers the forward security. So even if someone captures some data from your network, it will be close to impossible for them to decrypt it and understand what was actually inside. So this setting is super simple. The only thing that you need to do is literally just choose the encryption method and make sure that you save, and most likely it's going to also prompt you to reboot your router. And suggestion number 3 is making sure that you actually disable the WPS, which is the Wi-Fi protected setup. And in a nutshell, the idea is great. It's basically allows you to connect all of your devices to the Wi-Fi just by pressing a button or entering the PIN code. And the PIN code is exactly the most scariest stuff if we talk about the security, because usually it is super easy to brute force those. So if someone has an access to your Wi-Fi SSID, right, and you have the WPS turned on, if the PIN is one of the options which is allowed, it is possible that they can just brute force and get a full access to your Wi-Fi connection. So where to set it up on your router? Again, on my TP-Link router, there is a separate section in the navigation, which is called WPS, and make sure that that one is disabled. As for the number 4, I would definitely emphasize to keep your router up to date. And it doesn't mean like always to purchase the latest router which is available on the market. It means that your firmware, so the software operating system which is running the router, is updated, because just like any other system, computer or software, doesn't matter, there are a lot of like breaches and vulnerabilities that some bad people with bad intention find out, and eventually also the vendors find out about those vulnerabilities, and they obviously provide some software updates to the router to make sure that those vulnerabilities are mitigated. And firmware is like the operating system for your computer, and manufacturers periodically release the updates to patch all the security vulnerabilities, right? So how to do that? Again, try to find something that's most likely going to be in the system settings. And as you can see here, I have the firmware update where I have enabled the auto update, and I would probably recommend you to do the same. I don't think that anything bad can happen with that setting, and if you will go with the manual way, most likely after some time you will just forget to check for the updates. So it is super important to make sure that the firmware is always up to date on your device to ensure the best security that you can have. And the next one, which is just a great addition to ensure that your network and router is perfectly secured, is just to enable the MAC address filtering and network segmentation. So first, about the MAC address filtering, it basically means that you have to whitelist which devices will be able to connect for your network. So when you have everything already connected somewhere, you will be able to see like what kind of IP address it has. That's going to be a local IP address, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but mostly we're looking to the MAC addresses. And here, as example, in my case, under the security access control, you can click add and just add all of your devices that you have connected, which means that only these devices with only this MAC address, even in theory, will have an ability to connect to your Wi-Fi network, and nobody else from the Wi-Fi, even if they, I don't know, cracked the password or whatever else they got inside the network, in theory, they will not be able to connect because their list is not here. And the second thing, which was mentioned, like the network segmentation, I'm not gonna go in high details in this video, but basically if you're running some TVs and console, as I said, or something like that, so some stuff for the entertainment, it would be beneficial to run those in a different network, rather where you have like your network attached storage or some servers where you're running some important stuff, right? Just not the media itself, but some services that have some data that you definitely want to be secure. So those would be the 5 things that I definitely recommend to check on your router, just to be on the safe side, because the privacy is something everyone are taking care of, and it's super important to continue to do that. So hopefully you learned something new from this video, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more of these, and we'll see you later in the next videos. Goodbye.